All right. Yeah. All right. If you could introduce yourself and talk about what you're going to talk about.
Well, my name is Brittany, and I have a pet rat.
And what's it like to own a pet rat?
It's really fun. They make really good pets because they're small, so you can keep them in a cage, and you can teach them tricks because they're very smart. And they're fuzzy, which is always a plus with a pet, so you can pet them. And when they're old, they get cold easily and like to hide in warm spots, like tucked up under the bottom of your shirt, and you can pet them. And they do this thing kind of like cats when they purr, called bruxing, where they grind their teeth together when they're happy, and it's funny because it makes their eyes sort of roll like it's going to pop out of its head.
And what's the one trick that your pet knows?
My pet knows spin, so if I hold a treat for him and tell him to spin, he'll spin around in a circle.
And what do you feed rats?
I feed him pellets. I got some pellets online that are lab quality pellets, so they're probably more expensive than the rat was, but he's a well-fed rat and he's happy and he really likes his pellets.
So what are some of the things you need to do in order to take care of your pet rat?
Well, I have to make sure he gets fed every day, which my husband does that actually. He feeds him once in the morning and once at night. My sister has a rat too, but her rat is currently living with mine. They're BFFs. And I have to check their water and make sure that they have water to drink from the bottle on their cage. And I have to clean their cage because it gets pretty stinky with 2 rats living in it.
So what's one of your favorite stories and or memories from a pet rat?
Oh, my favorite memory from the rat is when he was really small. His head could fit through the bars of the cage. And rats, anything that their head can fit through, they can squish the rest of their body through too. So he would squeeze his head through between the bars and then sort of wiggle his way out. And we had him on a dresser, and sometimes he'd fall off the dresser because he kept looking over the edge to see what was down there, and they can't see very well. And he'd lean too far and fall off. And one morning, it was a Christmas morning, and we were in bed, and we heard this rattling under the door, and then all of a sudden, the rat came bounding up from the foot of the bed, and he'd been in his cage, and he'd crawled out, like he usually did, and then fallen off the edge, and I guess he went exploring, and eventually found our room, and he was so excited to be in there. He was bounding back and forth across the bed, and running in circles, and leaping and jumping, and it was quite entertaining.
So let's see. How did you get started with rats?
Well, someone gave us a rat. Oh, I know what happened. Someone was staying at our house because his family was going out of town. And when he came to stay with us, his sister's rat came to stay with us too. And I kind of fell in love with the rat, even though she was goofy. And so later on, as a birthday present, I think, that guy got me a rat for my birthday, and the cage and everything to keep it. And we've had rats ever since.
Okay. Anything else that you can think of to share about rat ownership?
Rats they're just great pets. One of the other things that works really well for us is that people aren't generally allergic to rats. So we have a lot of people over to our house that have pet allergies, so we can't really have cats or dogs. And I think a rat is the next best thing because it's fuzzy like a cat and a dog. It's smart like a dog, and it cuddles like a cat sometimes does, but it keeps itself in a cage unless it can sneak out. And so it's pretty easy to keep clean.
So can you feed it table scraps or chocolate, or are there any dietary restrictions that you need to pay attention to? Or
Most things that you can eat, you can feed your rat because their biology is kind of parallel to ours, which is why they use them in testing in labs all the time. But I think rats, there's a few things they're not supposed to eat. I can't remember off the top of my head what all of them are. They're not supposed to have tomatoes, and I don't think they're supposed to have citrus. But they love chocolate, and they love table scraps, and they love leftovers from like Panda Express. But that makes their cages really stinky the next day.
let's see. Um, do rats like to go in wheels like hamsters and stuff, or what do they do for exercise?
Like the spinning wheels on cages?
Yeah.
It depends on the rat. I've seen rats that do, and some rats don't. If you have a rat that likes to run in a wheel, like if you look online at videos of rats, sometimes you'll see the rats have their tails curved up. That's because they like to run in the wheel, so they're used to holding their tails up so it doesn't get caught. Our rats aren't particularly interested in the wheels. They're kind of old and lazy.
Um, what's some of the least favorite things about rats? Like things that people can look forward to if they decide to make this jump to rat ownership.
Well, rats aren't very good with their bladder control, so sometimes he pees on me. Sometimes he doesn't. I think sometimes he pees on me because he wants to go back to his cage, and he knows that if he pees on me, I'll get mad and put him in his cage. And other times I think he just gets so relaxed and happy and too lazy to move. But they're very good about always pooping in the same spot.
Let's see. What kind of things do you put in a rat cage, or what kind of things do you have to buy at the store for a rat?
Well, you have to buy bedding for your rat. Although we currently use straw because we have a bunch for our chickens that we have in the backyard. So you have to buy some kind of bedding. You have to have a cage that is safe for him. So if you have a small rat, you want one where the bars are small enough or close enough together that their heads won't fit through so they can't escape like our rat used to be able to do. You need a bottle so that they can have something to drink. You don't need a bowl because they won't keep their food in it anyway. Our rat really loves empty Kleenex boxes for sleeping in. So we give him an empty Kleenex box with just some torn up brown paper, and he moves that all around and gets it cozy, a little nest. Some rats like to chew on things. My sister's rat, he will chew holes in everything that is in his cage. Cloth or the box or his boxes, his Kleenex boxes are just, yeah, totally full of holes when he's done with them. But my rat doesn't chew nearly as much. There's special chewing sticks you can get for them if you want to, but you don't really need to. They basically just need a warm place where they can feel safe and sleep, and bedding to help keep them clean, and food and water.
All right. Would you recommend people get a pet rat, or?
I think rats are a good starter pet because they're fairly easy to take care of, and they have a small sort of footprint. They don't take over your whole house, just their cage. And if you are careful with them, you can let them run around on your floor as long as you watch them so they don't chew on things or escape into holes that they can't get out of. So yeah, I think they're great pets. I don't know if you would want a rat if you have a cat or a dog, unless you raise them together, because they might think that the rat was a toy. But other than that, I do recommend rats.
All right. Well, thank you very much for this interview.
You're welcome.